So really quickly, I want to talk about something, and it's going to be called, you don't have to be still upset, angry, or just affected by what somebody else did to still get justice. Justice is not always about your feelings or how you feel about that person, whether you've got over it or not. It's about what really needs to be done. I'll use an example of a certain type of injustice and possible defamation of character at a particular place that I was working. They just told me to get off the premises immediately and don't tell me what's going on. Nothing. I have no idea. And I believe, it's just me believing that I don't know what this person was afraid that I would find out, but they was afraid I was going to find out something, and they was trying to keep me away from a particular patient, not to speak to him. Because the person that did this, which is the supervisor, she had a pretty close friendship with him, even though she was his therapist. She had a pretty close friendship with him. And she most likely said things to him that she don't want to get back to me. She didn't know he and I would ever connect again because there was a little issue last year between him and I. Okay, but there's always been issues between him and a lot of people, though. I mean, he had a habit of accusing folks of things and stuff, and just kind of sometimes causing trouble. Even when people are not being nasty to him, he might sometimes, during that time, he would make things a problem when it wasn't, okay? But it seems like he's kind of seeing things differently. And he requested that I be his therapist, his OT, occupational therapist. And I let her know that, and I didn't hear nothing back from her. Next thing I know, the next day, yeah, just finish up your notes with the patients that you treated, and then just, you can just, that's it. And she didn't let me know nothing else. It was somebody else that gave me a phone call and said, oh, you have to get off the property immediately. You have to get off the property immediately. I mean, like, so what was said? She said, I don't know what was said. I don't know what happened. So you gonna tell me to get off the property immediately? I can't set foot back on the property, but you're not gonna tell me what was said. You can't make me sound like a criminal. See, there needs to be justice with that, because this lady was afraid of something, and whatever her fear was, which I'm not sure what it is, caused her to act in such a way to defame my character, to make sure I'm not around that area. Because she got people that's up her butt that believe everything. And plus, she's been around there a long time, so she know how to twist things in her favor because she's been doing it for a long time. She's been doing it for a long time. She's always gotten away with it. People have complained about her, and nothing's ever been done. You got to take things to the law on people like that, and then you got to, I'm going to be honest with you. Because some of us are not completely in a spiritual type of justice system, because the spiritual justice system is within you. It's not outside anywhere. So because some of us are not completely in a spiritual justice type of system, you have to keep doing work and doing work and doing work. And when you do spiritual work, it's for good reason. It's so many wicked people in the world, and that when you say stuff like spiritual work, it sounds like you're trying to hurt somebody. No, spiritual work could be done for justice in the world too. Spiritual work on a mass level could be done to stop child sex trafficking or just trafficking altogether. Spiritual work on a mass level can stop organ harvesting. So spiritual work, honestly, if people would stop being so freaking wicked, it can really be done to change a lot of shit around. A lot of stuff would change. The pandemics might go away if people would if spiritual work could be done that way. So when I talk about spiritual work, I'm talking about spiritual work done that way. Now, sometimes people are getting knocked off, but that's their own karmic debt that they collected. See, that's what they collected. Okay, that's because they think they're hiding and they're not. And when it's finally time for them to pay those dues, when somebody decides they don't want you to get away with it, because it takes somebody to decide they don't want you to get away with it. And when somebody say they don't want you to get away with it, and they're going to make sure you don't get away with it, then a whole lot of stuff is going to be falling on your lap too that happened 5-10 years ago, going to come back up in your face. And when I say you, I'm actually talking about this lady. Stuff that's 5 or 10 years ago gonna come right back up. And she's gonna be like, how did that come up? That was happened 9 years ago. That happened 8 years ago. Why? Because not everything came back up. That's what collecting karmic debt does. It just comes back up like that. So I'm just saying that to say that, and I didn't feel like pursuing anything, but I went and filed some stuff. I went and filed some things. Takes a long time to get around to your case though, but I went around and filed some things because I'm not interested in going back to work there. Even if this lady get hauled off to jail for whatever she's trying to hide, even if she get hauled off to jail because somebody caught her behind, I'm not interested in going back working back there. But I was told, a more wise virgin told me that you need to go on and get on this thing with this possible discrimination and retaliation. You need to go on and get on it because it's not about how you feel. I'm about over it. I'm going to work. So that don't matter. You're making it about you. This is bigger than you. What's going on at that facility is so much bigger than I could ever be. It's stuff that's going on at that place that's way bigger than me. So doing this part right here is going to unravel a whole lot of stuff, and it's going to stop a whole lot of corruption. Okay? So sometimes it's just not about you. And even if it was you, even if you had a cousin or something that molested you because he was grown and you was a little child, or maybe your uncle, or it could be vice versa. Sometimes you got women in the family that do stuff too. Still, you should get justice too. You should get justice. Oh, well, I'm over it. I let it go. No. That's why people like that keep increasing. They keep increasing and they keep increasing. And if you can't get any justice in the so-called physical world, it's going to have to be spiritual justice, because there's going to have to be justice done some kind of way. It's got to be, in this case, an eye for an eye. An eye for an eye, that's it. That forgiveness is used the wrong way. Forgiveness is for you. It's like the way somebody else explained it. It's like you give something to yourself, like forgive, like you give forth something for yourself in like what you would call the future. Forgive. It's almost like planning ahead for yourself to be set up nicely. It's like forgive. It's all about self. It has nothing to do with anybody else. You don't know who you're dealing with. You don't know what kind of entities you're dealing with. Okay, you don't know what you're dealing with, so it can't be for somebody that you could be dealing with robots too. In this time right now, a lot of people are completely robots. So are you forgiving robots? See, that's what the way it's been used in Christianity, and the way that people have misunderstood it. They make it seem like you have to forgive every time somebody else do you wrong, and it has nothing to do with nobody else. It has everything to do with yourself. And really, you have to forgive yourself before you can properly, what you would call, ascend. You have to forgive yourself, or else you can't go anywhere. Your shadow will remain dense, because you have to learn to forgive yourself. Okay, you have to learn to forgive yourself, and so it's really for you and not for nobody else. So I don't get into all that forgiveness. Oh, forgive this person for doing this, or molesting, raping, or just doing all kinds of crime and forgive. No. There has to be justice. It has to be an eye for an eye. And if you can't see the if you can't see the justice in the crooked world, then the justice is going to have to be done some other kind of way. But it needs to be justice. People don't get to treat other folks any kind of way they want to, cruelly, and just make a career of just treating people cruelly. And they just good to go and have a nice life while other people are suffering because of things that they have done. No, that shouldn't work like that. So anyway, that's it. That's all I wanted to say is justice is not necessarily for you and about how you feel. It's about stuff that just have to be done. That, okay, you should get your justice, but it's a bigger picture too. It's also a bigger picture. Because you starting to do this, you might put a seed in other people's, you might plant a seed in other people who were afraid to speak up. And it's going to cause a different type of, you'll bring forth a different type of world, a different type of reality. Okay, so it's bigger than, oh, I'm over it now. No, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. Okay, because if you want to see change, you got to be the change that you want to see. That's just the bottom line. Yeah, you got to work on yourself, but also you got to be brave enough to take action when it's time to take action. Okay, you want to use wisdom, but you don't want to just, be passive and say, okay, well, whatever. No, it's time for people to stop getting away with so much crazy stuff. It's time for the trafficking to stop. It's time for Hollywood to go. Hollywood needs to go. People are extremely talented. Whether it's sports or whether it's music, whether it's acting, whether it's art, whatever it is, people are extremely talented. And they cannot get to the level they want to get to because this sick industry is running things. And this sick industry is running things, was running things. And you have to do stuff that you don't want to do. A lot of people have to do things that they don't want to do in order to be successful. It's time for that to be overturned. But it's going to, I'm about to say it takes a mass of people. It really don't. It doesn't. It really doesn't take that many people. But anyway, so it's like little stuff like that, starting small, will start to cause a lot more justice to come forth, okay? But anyway, that's it, and I'll talk later.